Good day, and thank you for tuning in 3D, the Daily Divine Direction broadcast. For all of our new listeners and viewers who are tuning in for the very first time, I'm Pastor Pope, and thank you for allowing us to come into your listening and viewing environment. We are here with you every Monday through Friday from 12:30 p.m. until 1 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, broadcasting live from the FijiWater.com sponsored studio, where you can discuss careers, finances, entrepreneurship. You can discuss marriage, divorce, raising children, blending families. You can discuss dating and relationships. Whatever's in your heart, whatever's on your mind, God is concerned about that which concerns you. And that is the reason that we are here with you in 3D, the Daily Divine Direction broadcast, which is brought to you daily by Fiji Water, Earth's finest water. You may already know that Fiji Water comes from Fiji. However, did you know that it is created by nature, it is untouched by man? It starts as a tropical rainfall which slowly filters through layers of volcanic rock, where the water collects in a natural, sustainable artesian aquifer, where it is bottled right at the source, free from human contact until you unscrew the blue cap. Fiji Water, Earth's finest water, will be delivered right to your front door when you subscribe for delivery. And you will save money at FijiWater.com. This is not just ordinary water. This is Earth's finest water at FijiWater.com. And for those of you who continue giving on the Give segment of our app at New Life-Delaware, and those of you that have made a weekly or monthly commitment to support the broadcast by giving on the contribution pages of our websites at NewLifeMinistriesInternational.com and NewLifeInternationalCDC.com, we thank all of you for your commitment and for your support as we fulfill our commitment to God to be here for you in 3D, the Daily Divine Direction broadcast. So I want to remind all of our listeners and viewers, we are in the midst of a FijiWater.com sponsored promo. So every day at 12 p.m., go to our internet radio station, WKAP Faith Empowerment Radio, where you can reach us at WKAPfaith.com. The first three songs that you hear, starting at 12 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, this is for all of our U.S. listeners and viewers. We'll do something with our international listeners and viewers at a later date. But for all of our listeners and viewers who are here in the U.S., the first three songs that you hear starting at 12 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, document those songs. Text them to the T-Mobile caller text line at 267-992-1424, along with your name and your email address. One of our listeners and viewers will be selected to win a case of water, Earth's finest water, from FijiWater.com. And at 6 p.m., you have the opportunity to send in a second text. At 6 p.m., the first three songs you hear, starting at 6 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, list those songs, text them on the T-Mobile caller text line, again at 267-992-1424. One of our listeners and viewers will be selected to win a case of Fiji Water from FijiWater.com. Now, we're not going to tell you what day a winner will be announced, but we are going to, obviously, we're getting further into the month. So get in your text, get in on the opportunity to win a case of Fiji Water, Earth's finest water, from FijiWater.com. Remember, for all of our listeners and viewers, continue encouraging your family, friends, coworkers, and colleagues to tune in to our Daily Divine Direction broadcast. They can view us on Facebook Live, YouTube live at Daily Divine Direction, and we want you to stay connected with us. So encourage everyone you know to stay connected with us throughout the week through our internet radio station, WKAPfaith.com, where we play music 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year, that will encourage you, empower you, and inspire you to become the best version of ourselves that we can possibly become. I'm going to address a communication that came in from one of our listeners and viewers who indicated that your siblings are all dysfunctional in many ways, you said. You said there are 5 of you. You said some have addiction issues and others have personality issues, well, what you said was personality disorders. And you're concerned about what might happen to you as you get older. Because you're looking at all of your siblings and you're saying they're dealing with all of these issues of life. And to date, this is what you said in your communication. To date, you haven't had any of those issues. But you're concerned that at some point in time, you may develop some of these same issues. And I'm here to tell you today, don't focus on what your concern might happen. Focus on where you are right now and where God is taking you in the future. See, here's the problem. So let me break this down for you. You've got to take your eyes off of your siblings, and you've got to, I'm not telling you not to have compassion. I'm not telling you not to have a feeling of empathy for them. That's not what I'm saying to you. What I am saying to you is, and I'm going to break this down for all of our listeners and viewers also. You're not going to have those issues. You're not going to have addiction issues. You're not going to have personality disorders because that's not your testimony. You're not going to have that to deal with in your life. You have to stay prayed up. You have to gird up every aspect of your life. Do not become an enabler. Do not become codependent. Do not develop dysfunctional personalities. Be you. God has his hand on you, and God has his hand on your life. Part of the problem is that, so you're the only one who has a consistent relationship with the Lord. You're the only one of all your siblings. That's an indicator right there. I'm just going to walk everybody through this. It is truly an indicator when you have a consistent relationship with the Lord and none of your siblings have a consistent relationship. That doesn't imply that a couple of them don't go to church. They do. They go to church when they feel like it. They don't have the same relationship you have. And those are the ones that have personality disorders. The addiction issues are a whole different spirit. That is a sickness. It is a disease. But in order to get there, we had to make choices. We had to make the wrong choices. And then we decide that we're going to continue in the addiction because there are programs, there are treatment, there's things that can be done. But until they're sick and tired of being sick and tired, they're not going to do anything about it. And you have to accept that. You have to accept that they're making a decision every day to participate in their addictions. Now, I understand that it's a sickness. I understand it's a disease. I understand some dependencies create a physical disability and mental disability. However, first they make the choice to become engulfed by the addiction. And then the addiction becomes a disease, becomes a sickness. The good news is that they can stop. So you have to continue praying for them. You have to continue giving them, I'll just use one example. Your one brother who has a drinking problem. You have to keep giving him advice that it's not going to enhance his health and wellness. You're putting poison in your body. You can say those things. Until he decides to stop or get treatment for it, he's going to continue in that pattern. That's not your pattern. You have people who smoke in your family. It's, I need to say this to all of us. We have all indulged in our own habits, whatever they might have been over the years. That was a choice. But then we had to choose, are we going to continue those habits or are we going to break the cycle? And consequently, it leads to a better quality of life. But this is not your testimony. You don't indulge in any of the vices that are, or let me rephrase that, any of the spirits that are attached to your siblings that are causing addictions. You don't indulge in those things. So that's not your issue. That's not your testimony. And then your siblings that have personality disorders, even though they go to church, that's from time to time, I should have added that in. Those are personality traits that they have developed and they have encouraged. And what I mean by that is they've decided they like who they are. And, I often ask this question, how's that working for you? How's that working out? So it's not mental illness, it's personality traits, personality disorders. You said in your communication, you think they need some meds. Sometimes that might be the case, but that's really not what you're dealing with. What you're dealing with is people who have decided that they want to have disorders. They like who they are. They think that, saying whatever's on their mind is going to get them the result they want, which is in some cases attention. In some cases it is, that theory that people live by, the squeaky wheel gets oiled. Well, sometimes a squeaky wheel is just a squeaky wheel. And the reality is that that's not going to work for them, and it's not going to happen to you. You're not going to develop those personality traits or disorders. You're not going to become addicted to anything. Just say no. Stay away from everything like you've been doing. And as long as you keep doing what you've been doing and keep building your relationship with the Lord, you are going to continue to move forward into the promise that God has made for your life. Let me say this to all of us, to all of our listeners and viewers. Every one of us has a promised land for our lives. A place where we will land. A place where we will... The problem is you don't want to land short of your purpose. We all want to reach our purpose and maximize our purpose. That's when you really exist in the fullness of God. And that's what we have to work towards. We have to realize that everything that God has done in our lives to date has brought us this far. He's not going to leave us. He's not going to fail us. But we have to be willing to put the work in necessary to keep moving forward. Don't focus on what's going on with your siblings. I feel for you, and I know you feel for them, because you're watching your siblings disrupt or destroy their lives. And all you can do is stand there and watch it happen. Well, while you're standing there, pray for them. And while you're standing there, encourage them and give them some recommendations on how they can improve the quality of their lives. And you will see that at some point in time, they will make a decision to improve the quality of their lives. Because if not, it leads to destruction, and there's nothing you can do about that. It is all in God's hands. When people are not functioning according to God's will, you have to put it in God's hands, because there's nothing you can do. This is not, you said, what might happen to you. This is not what might happen to you. Jesus came that you might have life and that you might have it more abundantly. And that's God's will for your life. That's his will for your life. This segment of the broadcast is brought to you by T-Mobile, America's largest, fastest, and most reliable 5G provider at no extra charge. So if you are not currently a T-Mobile customer, you may call or text on the T-Mobile call or text line at 267-992-1424. We will move you into our queue so that you may become a T-Mobile customer and experience America's largest, fastest, and most reliable 5G provider at no extra charge. Taxes and fees are included in your bill. And if you auto pay by attaching a credit card to your account, you will receive a discount on your monthly bill at T-Mobile, America's largest, fastest, and most reliable 5G provider at no extra charge. And this segment of the broadcast is brought to you by PorscheAmerica.com. So if you're in the market for a new high-performance automobile, one of the finest high-performance automobiles ever manufactured, go to PorscheAmerica.com. You will have the opportunity to virtually build out the Porsche you desire to own. And if you're in our area, you can go to PorscheDelaware.com, ask to speak to Mike Didio, General Manager of PorscheDelaware.com. He will make certain that someone assists you in purchasing the Porsche you desire to own. And if you're in our area and you currently own a Porsche and you're just in need of service, go to PorscheDelaware.com, ask to speak to Mike Adams, who is the service manager at PorscheDelaware.com. He will make certain that someone schedules an appointment for you. They will pick up your vehicle at your home or office and drop off a loaner vehicle to you until your vehicle has been serviced and your service has been completed. PorscheDelaware.com. I'm going to address another communication that came in from one of our listeners and viewers who indicated that you have been raised by all women. You said there were only 3 men in your family through the years. Everyone else was no longer present. And you said even the men in your family were silenced and you never learned how to have healthy relationships. Well, you're not the only one. You know, there are many women who have never learned to have healthy relationships, just like there are many men who have never learned how to have healthy relationships. And the problem with that is that we have to figure it out on our own, or we can watch others who have successfully done this and emulate what they do. Now, you'll never know what goes on behind closed doors. But one thing you will know is that if you identify someone that is present in your life and you can see and witness how they are living this life together, then you can emulate them. You can emulate them by watching the way they care for one another. You can emulate them by, not expecting them to be perfect, but just giving you some insight by the way they live, by the way they walk, in how you can have a successful relationship, a healthy relationship. So the problem, and I'll address you as a woman, since you have indicated that, all the women in your family, the men are all gone. Well, here's the reality to that. It's one thing when families, men, we didn't do our part for a very long time. It was easy to walk away from relationships and marriages because society says it's acceptable. So, divorce happens, and we didn't pick people that God joined us to. We picked people that we wanted. So that's an issue in itself. But at the end of the day, many men were not present when young ladies were growing up and becoming women. And as much as no man can teach you how to be a woman, a man can teach you what other men are thinking. The problem is we weren't present. So you have all these women around you who say, I can do bad all by myself. I don't need a man. I can do everything that a man can do, and I'm woman, hear me roar. Okay. But that doesn't equate to having healthy relationships. And so consequently, when you haven't learned how to have a healthy relationship, you have to determine what's healthy and develop that for yourself. Now, part of that is the preparation process. So, I always say to women, you go to Proverbs 31 is the standard for women. I know people don't like that in society because, there's a lot of different moving parts in our society today that says we can pick and choose what we want to do because we have liberty to do whatever we want to do. Well, it doesn't work out for us. So first and foremost, I tell women go to Proverbs 31. I tell men we have to read the entire Holy Bible. If we're going to be able to lead our wives, our significant others, our children into a wholesome, healthy relationship, a relationship that is holy. That's what wholesome is. It's a relationship that is holy. If we're going to lead our wives, significant others, our children into a healthy relationship, we have to read the entire Holy Bible. Now, I encourage everyone to do that, women also, but I'm just giving you a breakdown of what responsibility is. The responsibility is for the man to lead his family. And that means the man, God is the head, the man is created in the image of God, he is in the likeness of God, he's responsible for the wife that God has given him, who's been removed from his rib, and I don't necessarily mean taken from your physical rib, but of that spirit, that spiritual rib, that spirit that is in you. God then created a woman from the rib of man, and then they have children because they're fruitful and multiply. That's what the Bible says. And then they replenish the earth, and because they've done all of this in order, they find favor of God. Okay, so having said all of that, you have to prepare yourself to be with the man that God has appointed for your life. And then you have to make sure that any man who selects you is a godly man. And that man has to have a relationship with the Lord. He cannot just be out here trying to figure it out for himself. Because if two people are trying to figure it out, you've got the blind leading the blind, and the Bible says they'll both end up in a ditch. You've got to know what he represents, who he represents. Let me rephrase that. You got to know who he represents, what he represents, and you've got to know what he has, the vision he has for his life, the life of a wife, and the life of a family. Because without vision, the people will perish. Without knowledge, the people will perish. You got to have that. That's how you have a healthy relationship. And then the husband loves the wife loves the husband, and the two nurture their children. So, you've just been miseducated, but you're going to get that. You're going to get that in order now, because you sent in this communication because you want a healthy relationship. So you've got to identify. You can't identify. Watch this. You can't look at the women in your family who are not married, who have no relationships with men, no healthy relationships with men. You cannot look at them and say, I'm going to emulate that. There's no relationship. They don't have a relationship, a healthy relationship with a man. So you can't emulate that. So you're going to have to identify someone in your life, a couple who are trying to live life to the fullest, that are having a healthy relationship. Now, relationships are difficult, and relationships, don't always look the way you think they should look or what you've been taught that they should look like, because you will never know what goes on behind closed doors. But what you can know is they've demonstrated staying power. They've demonstrated the ability to function effectively and efficiently. When you identify that, that is someone that you can emulate. That is someone you can say, okay, you know what? They may not be perfect, but they at least got this part of it right. Because relationships, marriages are very difficult to maintain successfully. And the reason is because you have two individuals who have come together with two different life experiences, two different personalities, two different state of minds. But when we get the order right, then we can get it right. We can enter into a place that's healthy, in a place that is peace. You know what a healthy relationship looks like? A healthy relationship is a relationship with peace. It's that simple. It's really not complicated. I mean, we can list a lot of other things. We could list, love, admiration, love, respect. But at the end, it's got to have peace. You can love someone and not be at peace with them. You can admire someone, not have peace with them. You can, listen, you really are seeking what everyone is seeking, to have a healthy relationship, and that is to have peace in our lives. You can respect someone and not be at peace. What you really want is peace. And then all of that will take care of itself. When you have peace, you'll have respect. When you have peace, you'll have love. When you have peace, you'll have admiration. When you have peace, you will have perfect peace. And that's what we're all searching for in relationships. This segment of the broadcast is brought to you by Charles Tyrwhitt, located in London, the UK. They also have stores in New York, Chicago, Washington, D.C., and at the King of Prussia Mall in King of Prussia, Pennsylvania. So if you're in any of those areas, stop in at the retail stores. They have everything a man could possibly need. And if you're not in any of those areas, you can order from Charles Tyrwhitt at ctshirts.com. They will ship and deliver right to your front door in an appropriate period of time. And The White Company, located in London, the UK. They also have a store on Fifth Avenue in New York. So if you're in New York, stop in at their retail store. They have everything that you could possibly need: home goods, clothing for men, women, and children. And if you're not in New York, you can order from The White Company at thewhitecompany.com. They too will ship and deliver right to your front door in an appropriate period of time. I'm going to address another communication that came in from one of our listeners and viewers, who indicated that your husband is stuck in a rut. You said he will not change and experience different things in life. You want to live life to the fullest and want him to get him to change. Well, I'm going to tell you two things, and I know we're going to run out of time, but I'm going to tell you two things. And that is, first of all, look around you. Look around at your environment. Look around at your quality of life. You are living life to the fullest right now. You just don't know it. And the reason you don't know it is because your husband actually has outgrown you. That doesn't mean he needs to get rid of you. That doesn't mean you need to get rid of him. What it means is that you've got to grow. He's outgrown you because he's in a place in his state of mind where he is living a quality of life. He is enjoying a quality of life. And he's not interested in doing all of those things that you want to do because you haven't grown. You're looking at the world and the trappings thereof, and you're saying to yourself, I want some of that, I want more of that. And he's saying to you, let's enjoy where we are right now. You really don't want him to change, so be careful what you ask for. You don't want him to be the one who is all over the place. And you don't need to be all over the place. So take a step back, look at where you are, examine your quality of life, and enjoy where you are today. Today's Daily Divine Direction broadcast 3D has been brought to you by Fiji Water, Earth's finest water. A taste of paradise will be delivered right to your front door when you subscribe for delivery, and you will save money at FijiWater.com. May God bless you today. May God keep his face turned towards you. May God give you peace that surpasses all understanding. Have a great day today. I look forward to being in your viewing environment every day, Monday through Friday from 12:30 p.m. until 1 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. And I want to remind all of our listeners and viewers, we are in the midst of our FijiWater.com sponsored promo at 12 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time every day. Listen to WKAPfaith.com. The first 3 songs, text them